a plastic surgeon or med spa owner and you are curious how to build a keyword list in Google Ads that is going to result in qualified consults and eventually booked surgeries or booked procedures, I'm going to walk you through from start to finish how I approach this in the Google Ads interface. I'm Marjorie, CEO and co-founder of Alpine Analytix. I run a performance marketing agency built specifically to help plastic surgery practices and med spa owners grow profitably through a proven acquisition system. I've been in digital advertising for 20 years, and I have led paid media strategy for 10 of the most recognizable brands in the world, including high growth healthcare companies. And today I focus specifically on profitable growth for plastic surgery and med spa practices. So let's get started. Here I have our own Alpine Analytix Google Ads account pulled up so that I can walk you through how I approach keyword research and keyword selection, as well as match types. I'm going to focus specifically on an account that doesn't have any data, or an account that perhaps was mismanaged in the past and had become messy over time, which is more common than you may think, and requires a complete restructure. So I'll touch on this a little bit later in the video. For accounts that have established an accurate, keyword there is accurate, conversion history, and have met the conversion thresholds that are required in Google Ads for it to perform reliably, you can start expanding into broader, more research-based keywords, as well as broader match types. But that comes later. So for today's video, we're going to focus on what we're going to do for a brand new account or a brand new campaign. So you want to start with your keyword planner. So let me move this. Okay, you go to tools in the left-hand pane and you scroll up to planning, and then you want to go to keyword planner. There are a few different ways that you can do this. So if you already have a list of keywords that you feel confident about or that have performed well in the past for you from a conversion or qualified consult, qualified appointment standpoint, you may want to get search volume and forecasts for that particular set of keywords. But we're going to start with discovering new keywords. So I like to do two different things here. One, you can just enter a keyword or a service that is closely related to your business. And then the second thing you can do over here is to start with a website. So if you wanted to start with the website, and we'll just put Alpine Analytix in here, you can give it a specific landing page on your site. So you could do that. And then, this would be a deeper page, or you can use the entire site. I usually start with the entire site. And sometimes I take these results with a grain of salt because they're not always accurate, but it can give you some helpful ideas of where to start. And you can expand this column so that you can see this better. And then you can see here average monthly searches. You can also click this so that it'll sort in descending order from largest to smallest, which is usually something I like to do. It'll also give you information on like a 3-month change, a year-over-year change. So this just shows out of all the search queries for these particular keywords on Google, have there been shifts up or down over the last 3 months or year over year. And then if you scroll over, it'll rank the competition from low, medium, and high. So you can see, if it's high, then there's a lot of other competitors bidding on those keywords, and you can expect that your bids required would be higher. The more competitive the auction is, the more crowded with several competitors, the more expensive those keywords are going to be. So right here, it's going to give you a top of page bid low range and a top of page bid high range. I like to typically average these out if I'm going to start with a manual CPC, which is a manual bidding strategy. In that case, you need individual level bids. And so if I'm going that route to start an account, which sometimes I do, depending on the account, I will just average these two out for each keyword to give me a reasonable starting bid. And then you can also export this. You can download this so that you can manipulate it in a Google Sheet or Excel or whatever you're more comfortable with. Okay, so let's go back to the keyword planner, and then let's try the other route. So I'm going to walk through an example for a plastic surgery practice. So we're going to put in keywords like mommy makeover, and we're just going to pick a city, Denver, best mommy makeover surgeon, mommy makeover near me. And you could add more as well, but it'll give you several ideas just off a seed or base list of keywords. You can also enter a site here if you want to filter out unrelated keywords. It'll help filter out, brands or products or services that you don't offer. Sometimes this is good, but I like to start without adding that as a filter. Now, right here, this says some of the keywords were removed and won't be used for keyword ideas. This is a bit difficult in healthcare or any industry like healthcare that Google regulates pretty heavily. So sometimes you have to fill in the gaps when it doesn't want to give you estimated search volumes for healthcare related terms. So that's just something to be aware of. Then you can also drill down if you wanted to go to like a city or a metro area. So you could do here, just using Denver as an example, you could include the city if you want to do the entire, Nielsen DMA region. For Denver, that's going to give you a much larger reach. Oftentimes, even if I am going to be targeting a specific city or metro area for a client, I'd like to start with the broader US view. And then oftentimes what I'll do is I'll download the US view, and then I'll run it again, and I'll do a separate view for that unique city or set of locations. And if the trends look similar, then I'll usually leverage the United States view. And the reason for that is the more granular and targeted you get in Google Ads, whether it's research or within the campaign targeting itself, there are sometimes that there are thresholds, data thresholds, that some of these more specific keywords don't meet. And so if you choose a larger region, I find that you can get more reliable data. The only caveat is, the average monthly searches. Obviously, if you're using a view like the US and you're only going to be targeting one particular city or one particular metro, you have to understand that, this is going to be lower volume when you drill down to that city level. But I'm not as interested in the specific monthly search amount. It's just more of, what are the terms that have the most search volume, and then what do the bids and the competition look like. So this is a great segue, this first result. This is a great segue into selecting high intent keywords over research phase keywords. So right here, mommy makeover price, this has anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000 monthly searches in the US. And you may think to yourself, oh, well, that would be, a great keyword to bid on so that, you can reach people when they're becoming curious about a mommy makeover. If you have a price calculator or something similar on your landing page where you're going to be landing the people that click on your mommy makeover ads, then perhaps a keyword term with price in it or cost in it makes sense. But outside of that example, you really don't want to, especially in the beginning with the new account, you really don't want to bid on keywords that have price and cost or photos or before and after, because those people are in the research phase. They are not ready to book a consultation, most likely. And this is what our client data has shown us to be true over and over. Also, mommy makeover procedure, while that sounds a little bit more specific versus the price example we went over, it actually performs similarly to the price queries, price searches. Again, what our data has shown us is that the people that are searching for mommy makeover surgery or procedure are still in the research phase. So do not include these in your keyword list. And in fact, I would take it a step further. I would negative exact match these types of keywords from your campaign. Now, makeovers near me, makeovers is also too broad. So all of these that are coming up right here, I would actually negative match, and when I would not select them for my keywords. And then like, here's some other ones, right? Like Sonobello. So unless that was a client of ours, that would be a competitor we'd want to exclude. Non-invasive, that would be another one we'd likely want to exclude as well. And so you can just see that there's a lot of keywords here, that have a lot of search volume, and a lot of people think, oh, okay, these are heavily searched and they seem relevant and these would be great keywords, and they're not. Now here's where it starts to show examples of keywords that do have high intent that you would want to include in your keyword portfolio. So mommy makeover consultation, I would include that keyword and I would bid on that. And then even better would be mommy makeover consultation with the city that you're targeting. So mommy makeover Denver, mommy makeover Atlanta, or mommy makeover consultation near me, or mommy makeover consultation New York, right? But I think you get the idea. And so that's just very, very important. And it's something that I see even experienced PPC professionals, Google Ads professionals, get this wrong when they're starting accounts. And so I thought it would be helpful to kind of walk through my logic and reasoning for how I set these up. And then another thing that you want to take advantage of is in the shared library here. Let me move myself over. You can go to exclusion lists. So here I already have a master negative keyword list built out. So let's just pop into it. So, I have everything from like career, job, coupon, review, hiring, right? Like anything that we just know is very irrelevant. And then down here, you can apply it to the campaigns that make sense. So oftentimes what I like to do is create a master negative list. You can also use exclusions at the account level. So there's multiple levels where you can have negative keywords. You can do the account level. I think that's best for just keywords that that none of your campaigns would ever want to include for any particular reason, but you have to be careful. So for example, if you went to add promo or discount or coupon or something like that to your account level negative list, but then in the future you did want to launch a campaign that had a promo or a discount or something like that, you may not then remember that you had added that negative. So I only add keywords at the account level that I know that none of the campaigns in this account would ever want to show ads for. Then here in the shared library, I create a master negative list that can apply to all campaigns typically. So brand campaigns, non-brand campaigns, just the majority of the campaigns that live within the account, I know that those are going to be important. And so to exclude. And so here, we typically start an account with over 1,000 negative keywords. We typically do both broad and phrase. And we'll do things like how to or non-surgical if it's a plastic surgery account, and a whole host of others. And then when we get to the campaign level, so you can drill into a specific campaign. We don't have one active here, but if we did, you could drill into a specific campaign, or you can just look at all your campaigns. You can come into your keywords, and then you can look at negative keywords here. So we don't currently have any at this level in this account. This is more of a sort of a demo account, but at this level is where I like to add additional negative keywords. And here's why. We've also found when structuring your account, we like to create a campaign for each procedure. If the budget is large enough, we try to educate our clients. We have a required monthly budget calculator on our website, and we like to educate clients from the get-go on, the monthly budget that they are going to need to be successful in Google Ads. And I think this is a very critical, and unfortunately, it's a step that a lot of people just don't take the time to walk their clients through and set the proper expectations. So most of our client accounts run without limited budget. If you are in an account or running an account where you do have a limited budget or a smaller budget to start, you may not be able to support having a separate campaign for each procedure type, like mommy makeover, or if it was a med spa, like lip fillers, blepharoplasty, labiaplasty, for med spas, microneedling, right? Like you may have to have one main non-brand campaign and then have ad groups. So one level down, have ad groups for each of those types of procedures, simply because you don't have the budget to support fully funding those separate campaigns. And you want to be careful that you're not spreading your budget too thinly across multiple campaigns. You want to also be careful you're not spreading your conversion data too thinly across campaigns. Of course, that can be solved with the portfolio bid strategy, but that's a different topic for a different day. Back to this example though, assuming you do have the right budget to fully fund campaigns, we do find it's best to have a separate campaign for each procedure type that leads to a unique landing page. Whether that's a landing page on our client's existing website, or more often than not, what we do is at Alpine, we build out custom landing pages. We do the design and dev work and also host the landing pages for our clients. In healthcare, there are a lot of requirements and restrictions on the Google Ads side. And so that's also another topic for another day, but not only from a conversion rate optimization perspective, meaning you want to be able to structure and design your landing pages so that they follow best practices to lead people to ultimately take the desired action on the landing page you want them to. But there are very specific terms and terminology that you cannot use to run Google Ads and land people on those pages unless you are legit script certified. So that'll probably be a great topic for another video. But oftentimes, for those two reasons, we do create standalone custom landing pages for our clients, and we have one per each procedure. And the ads in each campaign, drive to those specific landing pages. And so now we go back to this example where, why do we need negative keywords also at the campaign level? Well, we then add a layer of negative keywords for, like I was mentioning before, exact negative match for mommy makeover surgery, or blepharoplasty surgery, right? But we would do blepharoplasty surgery near me. So we wouldn't want to have it on a phrase, negative phrase, or abroad, because it would then conflict with the keywords we do want to show that are high intent. And so we have a list of negative exact match keywords for that particular procedure, and we have a corresponding negative keyword list for that particular procedure campaign. So that's where you can add these here. And then search term reports are also going to be critically important. I've audited thousands of accounts throughout my career. and particularly with the way that Google Ads match types work today, even on exact match. In some ways, exact match is better than it used to be. In the olden days, I've been doing this for 20 years. Media managers like myself had to build out massive keyword lists because we had to account for singulars, plurals, misspellings, and so on, close variants. Now Google has expanded exact match where it's not truly exact anymore and it captures all of everything I just mentioned, but it also goes a step further. And I find that sometimes you do serve your ads for keywords that you don't necessarily want to. So one thing you can do is you can modify your columns. You come down to attributes and make sure this keyword is included here so that you can always compare it to the search term. And so why this is really helpful is you will see your search term here. So let's go back over all time so you can populate some data here. This may take a second. So while we're waiting for this to load, the search term is going to show you what people searched on. And then the keyword is going to be what keyword it matched to. So you can see how wild some of this stuff can get. So for example, when we were bidding on the keyword higher education marketing, the Wharton marketing department was a search term that Google found relevant enough to match to this keyword and trigger our ad. And this is not relevant. I guess you could say it's loosely the same topic, but obviously not something we want to serve ads against. So, I would recommend downloading this and then very carefully looking at the search term column and comparing it to the keyword column, and then, negative matching out anything that's not relevant. You can do that right here from the interface at the campaign level, like we talked about. If you already have the negative keyword list in the shared library, you could do that. What I find oftentimes is that I will sort this data. So for example, if you have cost data populating in here, sort it in descending order so you can see, okay, this is where we're spending the most. You can also filter it. So like, for example, you could do conversions. Let's see here. Conversions less than 1. And then look at, which of the search terms here are driving costs, producing 0 conversions, and I would focus on those first. For new accounts, and some people think this is excessive, I'm here to tell you it's not. We look at search term reports up to 5 times a day for new accounts, even with large negative keyword lists in place, and keywords on exact match, because that's just how wide of a net Google Ads is casting. Now, it will get better once you hit approximately 30 conversions in the last 30 days. That's just sort of a rule of thumb. There's not a hard and fast number, but the idea is once Google has enough conversion data to understand what performs well for the account, and you continuously, add to and refine your negative keyword list, you will start to see that the search terms and the keywords match more closely. But I really think that, even for an established account, you really do want to check your search term report, a minimum of once a week. So just to recap, use the keyword planner tool, look at the broad US based, assuming US is the country you're targeting, look at the broader trends. You can also just double check and bump that report up against a city or metro area specific report just to make sure that the trends and the patterns are mostly the same. I find they normally are, but then leverage the US report just because it's going to give you more data and you won't have as many gaps with search terms and queries that don't have any data. So I just find it to be more reliable and more useful in that way. Only select high intent keywords on exact match to start because those are people that are ready to book a consultation or an appointment, and that is where you want to start. Make sure you are using master negative keyword lists. Make sure you are using exact match negatives at the campaign level or ad group level, however you're structuring the hierarchy of your account with the procedures, that ladder back to the procedures. Make sure you're checking your search term reports, religiously every day, sometimes multiple times a day if necessary. And then once you have, approximately 30 conversions in the last 30 days, you will likely start to see a downward trend in the relevancy between the search term column and the search term report and the keyword column. That should start to lessen over time. And then you can move to approximately once a week reviewing your search term reports and adding negatives. And then from there, you can start to, we always like to give our clients proof of concept. Ultimately booking qualified consults is really what our clients are after, that are ultimately then going to turn into clients or, booked surgeries. And so, that's what impacts their bottom line. That's what we want to show them first. And also that's what we want to show Google Ads or any other advertising platform first. We use a fully HIPAA compliant lead intelligence platform. We extend it free of cost to every client. So 99% of agencies out there, and I know because I've been in the agency world for 2 decades, they report on leads and cost per lead. So what we do is we track all the leads that are produced from Google Ads, Meta, Reddit, etc., all across all sources. We put one tracking tag on your website or landing pages. It tracks all sources, organic traffic, paid traffic, and you'll get real-time lead alerts directly to your inbox or your practice's inbox, whomever you've designated as the key points of contact to receive those alerts. Only after your practice marks a lead as qualified does it then get pushed to the ad platforms like Google Ads and Meta via API as a lead. So a lead is not even created in these platforms until your practice has qualified it. That is a huge differentiator. And then the platforms are able to learn from quality data from day one, and they know to go after, other users that look like the patients you want more of. So these are just a few key tips to help you get started in your Google Ads account. And once you have approximately the 30 conversions over the last 30 days of those qualified consults or appointments, you see that your search term report looks great. You're not seeing irrelevant mismatches between your search term column and your keyword column. And your account's performing well for you or your client, then you can start considering going into more research phase keywords like mommy makeover price and photos. But I would make sure that you have something relevant on your landing pages or the sections of your website where those ads are landing users, like a price calculator and like a gallery of before and after pictures, because people want to find what they're looking for. So those are a couple things to consider as you begin to expand. If you want to then expand testing match types and move beyond exact into phrase and broad match, you'll often find that the CPCs, your average cost per click, will be lower than exact match, but I absolutely would not do that until you have a mature account that is performing well. Hope this was helpful. If you'd like to learn more about Alpine Analytix, I'll leave a link to our website in the video description. And if you're interested in hiring a strategic growth partner that really understands your space, I'll also leave a link to my calendar, and I would love a chance to talk to you and understand your goals and see how we may be able to help you grow profitably.